Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I am your host, Ty Christensen. They were, Jesus, weirdo, big hippie types.
Pure evil.
Pure evil. We've got Jordan Christensen.
Please.
I love that guy. Oh my gosh.
And we've got Grant Mickle on the pod.
You ripped my shirt. You ripped my shirt.
My shirt!
My shirt.
My shirt! I love it. And we've got Cameron Mickle on the pod.
Grant stole mine, but my other one is, where is it?
I thought Grant was going to say that one, so I refrained from saying that one. I was going to say that too. That's such the good quote.
I have a ton of quotes. They're so funny.
Oh, when he said, these arrows cut through bone like a fat kid eats cake.
Like a fat kid through cake.
Fat kid through cake. Oh my gosh. So what you hunting? Jesus freaks. I didn't know they were in season. Oh my gosh. I love that. Oh my gosh, guys. Today we're discussing Mandy. This movie came out in 2018. It was directed by Panos Cosmatos. It was written by Panos Cosmatos and Aaron Stewart Ann. And two more credits. Casper Kelly and... it's story and written by Panos Cosmatos, sorry. So it stars Nicolas Cage, Andrea Riseborough, Linus Roach, Ned Denny, Olin Fiore, I don't know how to pronounce that name, Richard Brake, Bill Duke, Lynne Pillett, Clay Barron, and many others. But guys, this movie, let's get into it. We're discussing Mandy.
This movie.
Ready for this? Buckle up.
Or that scene when he's like, knock knock. He's like, it's me with chips.
Oh, he's like, Eric Estrada. Eric Estrada who? Eric Estrada from Chips.
So, what was it like watching Mandy for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? I will start. I watched Mandy the first time. Jordan recommended it to me. It came out in 2018, and it was a movie that was on my radar because I heard, stylistically speaking, it was really beautiful. So I actually remembered encouraging Jordan to get it or to watch it because I mooch off my brother like a leech. So if I can get him to watch a movie or buy a movie, I can then see it for free. It's the biggest grift of all time. I'm a terrible brother, and I'm no good. And I still owe Jordan for John Wick 3, which I made him buy. And I get all my free movies. And I still owe him for many of them, and have not paid him back. So I loved... And it's not happening.
Ty feels very
so
bad about
I
it.
was super excited about this movie. I was so excited because I loved the trailer. I stopped watching it because I have this thing now where I start a trailer, and if I already make up my mind if I'm going to see it or I'm not going to see it, I will stop watching said trailer because trailers these days are pretty unpredictable. Sometimes they can destroy the whole plot of a movie. Learned that the hard way. Terminator Salvation. So... you can spoil the biggest cliffhanger, you know? And sometimes movies that don't think they're spoiling it, they give away big spoilers. Looking at you, Rise of Skywalker, when you have the Millennium Falcon with all the other ships in the air, just saying, that's the ending. That, you know, oh, our friends came to help us. Imagine if they put that in an Infinity War trailer. Anyway, I'm just saying. I love seeing this movie for the first time. This is an amazing revenge flick. It's super gratifying. It's super dark. It's super grisly. It's so cool. Nick Cage, man, he's all over the place. And watching it a second time, I want to say I liked parts of it more, and I didn't like other parts of it. So I still love this movie, and I do recommend it to people. So it's very fun to rewatch, and this will be one of those movies that I keep around for a long, long time, and I'll keep watching it yearly. So what about you, Jordan? What was it like watching it the first time or rewatching it for the podcast?
So the first time I got like 5 minutes in, and then I got a little bit bored, which I'm so sad to say. It's just because it reminded me of like a Zack Snyder movie where it's like pure visuals, and I'm like, or a music video.
This
it's
is
like
the definition of a freaking Zack Snyder movie.
Yeah. So it starts out, and I'm like,
visually speaking, yeah.
I just thought, I'm like, oh, is this only visuals? And so I turned it off. And then later, I'm like, I got some time on my hands. Or I can't remember if I watched like a Nerdwriter explanation about it, because his video is really good.
Nerdwriter was the one we both watched, because I love the Nerdwriter. His videos, ever since Every Frame of Painting went away, Nerdwriter came out and he said, I really like this stylistically speaking movie.
Yeah.
And it got us super pumped to see it. We're like, wait, what is this movie?
Yeah, and then I listened to an interview with Panos Cosmatos on a podcast, and he's just such an interesting, fascinating person, because his dad, he made a Tombstone, and his dad's made a bunch of action flicks like Commando, which
very disturbing action flicks.
Yeah,
Tombstone.
Yeah, and he even uses a lot of, like, you can tell he's a lot
and
like
Brawl in Cell Block 99, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he just does a lot of things like his dad, and he just like he sticks with that kind of that classic feel where there's like old practical effects, and he kind of makes his own spin on it though, and he kind of has that grindhouse look where it's all grainy, and so finally when I've watched it for the first time, I'm like, oh my gosh, this movie is amazing. Like, I imagine this is what it would be like if I was on drugs. And then rewatching it for the podcast obviously is a treat. I have seen it so many times since. And I love, love, love this movie. I've got a T-shirt, and I've also got a little VHS, because I'm a nerd and I geek out about this crap. So,
dude, you better buy it, because in 10 years this will be considered too offensive and they'll erase it from existence. So you got to buy your physical copy of it now, man. Even though you bought it on an obsolete video device.
I've still got my VHS player.
Be kind, rewind, man. All right. Grant, how about you? What was it like watching it for the first time?
I like how we're saving me for last.
Yeah.
Yep, we're saving you for last, Cameron. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Shame.
Shame.
I watched it at like 3 a.m. So I was already a bad decision. But like,
Grant's pupils were as dilated as freaking Nick Cage and Angela Riseborough and everybody else in this movie.
Oh my gosh. So I was already like drowsy. I already felt like I was on drugs, and so this movie just put me in like a trance or something. And so it was the craziest experience of watching a movie that I've had in a long time. It was very enjoyable just to watch. Like, the fight scenes were super awesome. Well, I'll get into that later. But then rewatching it the second time, I kind of like you, Ty. Like, there was some stuff like I already knew what was going to happen, so it kind of took away a lot of the suspense. But then, like, certain parts I loved rewatching. So it's a really good movie. I was glad to rewatch it.
Well, and Grant, you got mad respects for visuals and stuff because you're an artist.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I bet you just soaked this up.
Mm-hmm. And the music, too, just, like, the ambient type, like...
Oh, Cameron, you're going to like... I've got some facts
so
about the artist. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So this art, can I just say really quick? Or
go for it. Yeah.
You guys can try to say as many things as you like about it, and it will not change how I feel.
No,
about
okay,
this
cool.
movie.
So the artist Cameron, this was his last film before he passed away, and it's like devastating because he's such an amazing artist. And he also made music for most of Denis Villeneuve's films, like Enemy. He also did music for Sicario. He's just done like really good suspenseful
He did
films.
Arrival.
He did amazing, but had a poor choice in doing it in this movie.
No, his music is amazing in this movie.
You should listen to it, Cameron. It's very reminiscent
don't worry,
of like
Ty.
all
I listened
80s
to it during the
things.
movie. It didn't save the movie, I can tell you that much.
Well, I don't mean save the movie. It's just really good.
It's really
it's great
good.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I said
it reminds
he
me of
did a
Stranger
great job.
Things. It's
I
very
said he just chose the
nostalgic.
wrong
It's very
movie.
80s. It reminds me
Highly
like you
disagree.
said, Jordan. It's very nostalgic. It's very 80s. It reminds me of Stranger Things. It has that gritty, like,
Yes.
that techno, but horror and suspense element.
Well,
to it.
and
That's
that
very
song
cool.
when his wife is dead, like that music is so unbelievably good. Oh my gosh, like it just puts me in tears. It's such a good, powerful song. So good.
Okay.
The emotion he puts into this, this movie's amazing. Like,
oh my gosh.
and the fun part, Cameron, is you're okay.
Cry in
You-
Mandy.
I did.
Oh
It's okay, Cameron, if you don't like this movie because reading through reviews, it's very divisive. Like, people are so split. They either like absolutely love this film and thinks it's like pure ecstasy, or they hate this movie. It's so funny. Like, it's just crazy how divisive
Cameron,
people are.
There's another movie podcast I like listening to, and the one guy that I love and respect his opinion on all movies, he did not get
Yeah,
this one
he
for
hated
whatever
it.
reason, and he hated it.
Yeah.
Do you remember thinking of
Ryan?
hidden? What's it called? The Show Me the Meeting, and Ryan, the host, he like didn't like it for whatever reason. I'm like, dude, you're the bane of like defending movies
Yeah,
like
well,
this.
and
Like,
he's
this is
also
your
he gets
movie.
like high all the time, so I'm surprised. Like this is a perfect movie to get high on.
Maybe you got to be an LSD user. It can't be high. You got to be tripping shrooms or be tasting that LSD and get a bad batch of LSD and become a hell demon or whatever.
All right, so we've essentially paved the way. Cameron, now it's your turn to.
Yeah, Cameron, what was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
So I watched this movie with as many people as can physically possible recommend. Oh, this is gonna change your mind about Nick Cage and all that stuff. And man, it definitely solidified every inkling I had about the man that he's insane, and also that I'll never ever watch another one of his movies unless I'm forced to for the podcast. I'll never watch it under my own will and fruition. But yeah, watching for the first time, there was a lot of moments I really enjoyed. I don't know, just a little too sadistic for me. And I know I'm the last one to call out people for watching crazy things because I know I like my top 10 movies are super like dark and stuff like that.
It's funny you say
this
that
is
because
just-
it was like after watching Wrath of Man with you, you're like, oh, the violence, wasn't good enough. Like I needed more. So that's
I know,
why it's
I'm
funny.
just saying. Well, this one is talking about touching like Satan and like sacrifices. So yeah, that kind of lost me. And made
wasn't
me
Satan. It
wasn't
Are you
Satan.
It
kidding
was
me?
God.
If you genuinely believe that he's not talking about
He
Satan,
was chosen
dude,
by
you're
God.
high.
He was chosen by
chosen
God.
by
Cam.
God.
Dude, there was moments where I literally felt like he was like Satan, like incarnate, dude. I was like,
Absolutely. Jeremiah Sand
I genuinely considered just telling you guys that I hadn't watched it for the pod just so I wouldn't have to like finish the movie. I was like, this is dark.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, Cameron, because this is a dark film. So I want that to be very clear from the podcast. It's an extremely dark film.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you're the only one out of us four that haven't seen it more than once. See, I think that's interesting because again,
that's
I will
what I
say-
understand.
yeah.
I'm the last person to say like if you like this movie, you're a sicko because there's movies that I absolutely love like in my top 10 that I like people would consider are really dark and stuff like that.
Seven, Zodiac, yeah.
Prisoners, yeah. But like I don't know, just something about this film with a little too much focus on Satan. So
Religion.
for me, Satan.
It's true. It's not the Church of God, that's
Not
for
a
sure. Yeah.
religion. It is just straight Satan. Bro.
It's a
You're
cult.
high.
Yeah.
It's 1,000% a cult, Jordan. I knew I had to have her when I saw her. Yeah, that sounds like a religion.
I have had the comfort of many women.
I'm a sensual lover. What the fudge? I'm glad he cut off her head, dude. You deserve that, dumb whore.
I can anticipate.
No, the best is when he throws the
Everything.
head at him. He's like, ah!
No, dude, I gotta say, that ending monologue is the most incredible thing.
Oh,
I don't kneel before you!
You kneel before me.
Before me!
And then like 30 seconds later, he's like, oh.
You're God now.
But when he's like, if that's what you want, I was like, deep passing my watch.
No, Cameron, he says, oh, man.
So
So bad. Oh, my
movie's
God.
disgusting.
I just love the tone of his voice. Oh, man.
Oh, man. And then he's just
He sounds like Morty.
no, I don't kneel before you.
Okay, Ty.
before
Okay, so
me.
his death reminded me of two deaths, and it reminded me of, Omni-Man squishing Flash, and then it also
Yes.
reminded me of the ending of Brawl in Cell Block 99, where his head just implodes.
Yes. Yes.
So good.
Just
I
feel-
love
yes.
beautiful practical effects. Just Ah. He enjoyed that way
Found
too
That
so
much.
much
sound he
satisfaction,
made.
dude.
That was, he enjoyed that way too much. He was like, and I was like, oh, deep God,
It's
am I
messed up.
watching? This movie should be beyond R. It should be unrated, man.
That's so funny.
Beyond
It's
R.
amazing. Oh my gosh.
Oh, my word. So, So let's get into it. What are two of our favorite things? Why don't we start with you, Cam?
I mean, you guys kind of touched on it. The visuals in this movie are beautiful.
Amazing.
The color scheme, just the overall filter, whatever they put on it. It's very.
Did you like the scene, Cameron, where they fade the faces between her and Jeremiah? I'm like,
trippy.
holy crap, that was
Mandy
pretty
and Jeremiah's
impressive.
face. Yeah, they like blend seamlessly, like he's imprinting on her or whatever, brainwashing her. Right? It was like very well done, cult-like. What I imagine an entranced person would feel like.
Yeah,
It's
so I mean, the visuals are really cool. And then I think my second favorite thing, it's also partially a nitpick, but I love the action sets. Like, there's why the F is there just
Good.
randomly two chainsaws sitting down at the site? Who knows?
but not just
It's
the
like, it literally reminds
chainsaw,
me of a
normal size
video
chainsaw,
game.
and then
It reminds me of a
long
video game
chainsaw.
where it's like a walk-up scene, and there's like randomly just a chainsaw on the ground for you to fight your opponent. But of course, he's got the better chainsaw. And I was just like, of course, why not? Why not in this film?
And he's got extra long
how is he just a
chainsaw,
master
remember?
welder and just builds like some freaking the most dope axe you've ever seen in your entire life?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, what? And how does it not I was worried about it killing him when he gets in the car crash. Like, I was worried about just like flying from the shotgun seat and just cutting his head off, but I don't know, I guess. And then, dude, what was that pit? It was just like to pit to nowhere. When he just undoes the bar, like that pole, and he just beats that fetching thing's head and then knocks it into that hole. Like,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
just never hear it land
Yeah.
or anything. I'm
Terrifying
like, what?
pit.
Just
Yeah.
never.
Well,
Creepy
then the
little
nail
pit.
drops.
I-
You hear it. It falls for a while, and then it hits the ground. And
Yeah.
I think that same guy shows up later in the living room scene. So he must have climbed out or something, or maybe it was a different guy. I don't know.
I thought it was a different
Yeah,
guy.
I don't know if it's the same one or not, Grant. I had the same thought because I can't keep track of them. They choose too much strobe lights when you first meet the LSD bikers or whatever, bikers from
What
hell.
a disturbing scene,
But-
gosh, in the living room. Like,
Yeah, that's all extremely graphic, and I have some thoughts about that too. I wanted to talk to you guys about, but so I love it. Action set pieces. I'm so glad you liked them, Cameron, because that's my biggest appeal.
I
is
enjoyed
the
about
color scheme and the
16
action pieces.
minutes of this movie. 16 minutes of this movie, I was like, this is amazing. And then the other, I was
Yeah,
like, this is
yeah.
demonic, and I want to stop watching.
For sure. I'm so glad, Cameron. I'm glad you stuck through it, man, because it's really gratifying.
It will
to
be
the
the
end.
last time. It's something. I don't know if I would say gratifying.
Yeah, maybe we'll cut out 16 minutes for you.
Maybe Ty was like, yeah, at the same time that Nick Cage was.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. How about you, Grant? Two of your favorite things.
So I agree with the deaths and the action scenes, and then the visuals were amazing. Because I thought the visuals were wallpaper worthy, and everyone knows I'm very particular about making things look really nice and just super well done. But so I'd say my two favorite are I love the bathroom scene that and
Yes.
I watched a video of the guy explaining how a lot of people need a character arc of going from sorrow to rage or seeking revenge, and it does all that in one scene with one cut, which is super
Yeah,
well
well,
done.
that was the first exposure I had to this movie, so I already went in with interesting expectations. Because Grant's like,
Yeah,
"You
poor-
watched this," he's like,
poor
"Isn't
Cameron,
that
so-
so insane?" And I was like, I have no idea what I'm watching.
So
I'm
Grant,
uncomfortable.
to your credit, Grant, I love you, man. I do the same thing all the time. I show Maddie clips from movies. I'm like, isn't this amazing? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's Nick
Well,
Cage
no,
in his
that's what's
underwear
funny.
screaming,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah, well,
what
'cause-
the hell am I watching? Okay, why is this
and drinking
significant?
alcohol and just in his underwear. I'm like, I'm so.
And then you
uncomfortable.
watch the film, and it adds context. The fact that he is mourning the loss of his wife,
Yeah.
and he's
Well, it's funny
immediately
because
recovering.
I showed that
Yeah.
that clip to Harry, and he was like, "That's interesting." They handed back the phone. I was like, "Isn't this so good?" So yeah, I totally know what
Grant,
you mean.
you just keep showing everybody this scene. You're like, I just really
It's
like the
so
scene. Everyone's like,
funny.
you keep showing
Well,
everybody this disturbing Nick Cage
I
in his
know,
underwear
yeah.
screaming in his bathroom.
Well, it definitely.
But I love you, Grant, because you're right. In the context of this film, it is amazing.
Yeah, and the
Well-
context of it, yes. Unbelievable.
Because the thing is too, I think
something.
the second time I watched it, it didn't carry as much weight as it did the first time. The first time I watched it, I was laughing my head off and feeling so much emotion for how devastating it was for him, at the same time. But
Right.
so that was my number one favorite thing, and then I love his smile at the very end of the movie.
Dude, that's nightmare fuel. That is nightmare fuel.
He is in a whole nother planet, dude. And if that wasn't clear, like
will
it
haunt my
pans up to
dreams
see
forever.
like multiple worlds in the background. Oh
It's
my
crazy.
gosh, dude.
That
His
look
face.
he gives where he sees Mandy again.
So
He's just like fake smile almost. The only two
Oh,
white things you
gosh,
see are the
dude.
pupils and his white teeth, dude. Everything else is just soaked in red and blood.
This
dude.
movie, it's a psychedelic acid trip of a revenge flick. Like, if you don't want to do drugs, just
Yeah.
watch this movie and you'll be satisfied.
Or don't.
Like, you might not be satisfied.
Or you might be disturbed more than you'll be satisfied.
Yeah, very disturbed.
Probably.
Exactly.
They'll probably scare you away from drugs or something.
All right, Jordan, how about you? Two of your favorite things.
Oh, two of my favorite things. Oh my gosh, there's so many things I love about this movie. Obviously, you guys have already mentioned everything visually is amazing, but leaning more into the practical effects, like I said, he loves to actually have, like, you know, at the very end, instead of CGIing, he like had a prosthetic head that you could squeeze and it just exploded with juice. And I love stuff like that. Like, this
Very
is
We know you
Cronenberg
do,
feeling, yeah.
this is my kind of movie. This is my kind of movie.
there are so many-
What? Oh, he cut out. I'm assuming.
Whose internet is the bad? Who's bad? Who's bad? My internet's great. I can still hear you guys. Camera set up.
So many of those scenes in this movie, the visuals were unbelievable. It has that grindhouse feel. I love a grainy look. I love like modern day movies that look old. Like, I'm a huge fan of The Lighthouse. Love that movie. I just love when
Oh, yes. We'll be reviewing The Lighthouse.
yes, Halloween.
Hark! Hark! Troy, have you seen that, Grant?
No, but Cameron showed me the scene of him beating the seagull.
Oh my gosh. What is it with you and Cameron
Yeah, you
showing
two-
scenes out of context?
Yeah.
It's so
Again,
funny,
you need
though.
to see why he's doing it.
Okay,
It is funny.
I was literally watching it at the time, and Grant like looked over at the it was the end of the
okay.
beating, and so I'm like, oh, you gotta like understand what the f is happening, and I was just like, this seagull has been like pestering him, so he just absolutely.
Cameron, did you like
ended-
Lighthouse, Cameron?
I did. It's also disturbing, but there's
Very disturbing.
there's good parts about it.
It's the most disturbing movie I've seen since The Shining.
Yes.
And Mandy and Color Out of Space.
Yes.
See,
All those movies.
I think but like The Shining is amazing, but like, and I feel disturbed like sometimes watching it, but like afterwards I'm fine. Mandy, I genuinely felt like a terrible feeling afterwards.
Yes. That's totally
I
fair.
literally went and
That's
I went
totally
to go
fair.
play. I went to go play Call of Duty to get a better feeling. I'm like, this will make me feel like more at peace than fetching whatever. the fuck
Cameron
I
goes,
just
take
watched."
that, Saddam. I feel much better.
What is that from? Wait, Dwight from The Office, shooting
yeah.
paintball. That's
Yeah.
right.
Shooting paintballs. Take that, Saddam.
Okay, and then last thing I wanted to say for my second thing is just the acting. I mean, yes, I give it all to Nick Cage, but you can't not say Jeremiah's performance is unbelievable.
know.
He is so good. Goodness gracious. Like, competing against
Good?
Nick Cage, like, that would be so hard to do.
Okay,
Because,
real quick. I want to blow your mind, and you might already know this. Panos Cosmatos originally had Nick Cage
Yes.
as Jeremiah Sand's character.
What?
Nick Cage was going to be the villain of the movie.
Yeah, but when
was
he
going
sent
to
him the
be
script,
the eccentric.
and Nick Cage is like, I want to play the
Nick Cage,
hero.
I want to play Red, and he's like, look, I don't know if this is gonna work because he's like, I love you, Nick Cage, right? He's like, I want you in the film, but yeah, he read the script and he's like, this movie would not.
It's
the
so
roles are
different.
reversed. It's different. It's just when I don't know if it would work, and maybe it would still work, but like, because I would love to see Nick Cage as both performances, like at both Jeremiah Sand and this.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad he was Red because somehow Nick Cage tapped into something. So Jordan,
Yeah.
are you done with your two
Yeah,
favorite?
yeah.
My favorite thing is Nick Cage's performance. This
Yes.
is actually my favorite dramatic performance I've seen Nick Cage play. Now, mind you, I haven't seen Leaving Las Vegas, which I know was where he won his Academy Award, and I've seen movies like Adaptation, which is really cool, but he taps into a sensibility here, which is really strange because of all the films where I see Nick Cage lose it and go off the handle, I don't feel most of it. I almost feel like it's unwarranted, and I think Tess and Colton, we had on the last podcast, Color Out of Space, they said it perfectly, where they think and they believe that Nick Cage, real life, has bipolar disorder. And I'm like, bipolarity is the only thing that would describe Nick Cage. Like, I'm like, that's perfect. Thank you for diagnosing, because I couldn't put my finger on it. I think he could be suffering from bipolarity. At least when he's acting, he is. I don't know how he is in real life. You know, the poor man's been married 3 times, so it wouldn't surprise me. But and he's got a lot of spending issues. But either way, I think he does such a good job at acting in this, and as Red, and he's so likable, even though you know so little about him. And just like the movie Color Out of Space, where Nick Cage is actually very reserved and doing a very, very good, relatable, everyday man performance, where he almost gets you thinking like,
up until he's not.
Nick Cage is gonna, yeah, is Nick Cage just gonna be, yeah, up until he's not. Like after again, it's the baptism by fire. After his wife is killed before his eyes, he transforms, and then it just spirals down there. Like he literally descends into hell, and his performance is unreal. Like the
So
scene
good.
where he's watching Mandy burning tears me up. The scene where he has rage and goes from grief to vengeance, like that whole scene, like you mentioned, Grant, the bathroom scene, it's unparalleled to any, a lot of the acting that I see, with other dramatic actors. It's so unhinged. He doesn't have any lines of dialogue, and that whole scene goes for like a minute and a half, and it's super unsettling. It's unbelievable. So I would say that he kind of disappeared in the role for me. Like I don't think of it as a Nick Cage, except in 3 quotes where it very is much Nick Cage, but I'm really glad that he went there. Like, you ripped my shirt, like that, and like, they were weirdo hippie types. Like for some reason that line delivery just didn't work, but it's so funny. Crazy evil Jesus freaks.
Well, and mad props to the director for letting that scene sit out. Like he never
Yes.
like cut and did a tight shot to show his emotion. He just did it all in one take. Like really
Yes.
let the actor act.
And what I love about it is the cameraman, he actually drew in for a moment,
Yeah.
and then like as Nick Cage freaked out, he like backed off because he's like, I don't want him to hit the camera equipment, so they actually back up a little bit, then they draw in again, and then they back up. Like they don't know what he's gonna do, and he's just unpredictable. And I'm like, it's like watching a caged animal, a Nicolas caged animal. So it is just absolutely wonderful to watch.
Since a pattern,
so
every
I
single one
love
of his
his performance.
performances, you guys compare him to a caged animal. I'm not sure if that's what I would want as a
Well, it's
human
funny
being.
too,
to
'cause
be
in the
compared
movie
to a
he's called an
caged-
animal.
Or on my set, yeah.
He's called an animal
Yep.
in the movie. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, he's compared to a tiger, and
Nope, he wears the tiger shirt.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then, yeah, Jordan, you mentioned Jeremiah. I love that. Again, just rapid fire, the colors of the movie, the distorted voices, I thought was so cool, that
good.
motif that they use. The projecting of Jeremiah's face on Andrea Riseborough's face, I thought that was so cool. And then just a quick shout out, Goblin Good movie commercial, TV commercial about a goblin that vomits
Terrifying,
mac and
dude.
cheese on a little girl's
Yeah,
head is the
what?
funniest thing I've ever seen.
So good.
So
Cheddar
guys,
Goblin.
I thought that
Troll
might be a
too.
real trailer. It really does look like a real kids commercial that would be in the 90s. They shot all of that, and they used a team called, they do Too Many Cooks. Have you guys heard of this Adult Swim TV show? I'm going to send you guys the link tonight. It borderlines that weird stuff that I show you about the unsettling Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared videos. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, with the time as a ticking clock, and make it stop. Like, it's the unsettling, unnerving stuff. They did Too Many Cooks, and I'm going to send you guys that one. That's Jordan, you like that one, right? I showed you that one. Too Many Cooks. Yeah, they're the ones that did this goblin mac and cheese thing, and I just think it's so special. I just love it. The creepy goblin, he's like, oh, goblin. He's like, they're goblin good. And he's like, barfs mac and cheese on this girl. She's like, yeah! She's like being thrown
As
up
if
on.
if I
and it's
needed
just, like,
another reason
cursed.
to not like mac and cheese.
As if it wasn't already gross enough. And then there's a creepy scene at the very end where the goblin's like staring at the camera, and it goes kind of silent, and it's just like you're really creepy looking at the camera, and it's like Red is looking at the goblin, and it's almost, he's in shock, and the commercial's just so outrageous. Just tonally speaking, it's just unbelievable. So I just love that. So yeah, Nicolas Cage's performance, he disappears into the role for me. I don't even think of it as a Nick Cage movie. And then
I
of
do.
course all the
100%.
things. Again, he does peer through because it's unmistakable.
Because
the
it's Nick
quote, so.
Cage doing the only thing that Nick Cage does and losing his mind.
Exactly. So let's get into it. What do you guys have, nitpicks or things you guys wanted to say?
Way too much demonic stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, see, because like it is a cult, and I didn't know, like, and that's one thing I didn't think about until this rewatch, Cameron.
Also,
I didn't think of
why
him
is
as
he
much of a
whip
cult.
out his freaking out of nowhere? luckily, I totally saw it coming. because I read the
Yeah.
I read the like the sex and nudity. It says like, no, I was like, what the f? And so as soon as I saw him standing in that position, I'm like, he's about to whip out his. And then as soon as he did, I was like, what the f?
Standing in a bathrobe.
I literally sat there for like the next like even after the scene ended, I sat there for another like 30 seconds with my hand on the screen to make sure it wasn't gonna like.
This is disturbing.
Jeremiah Sandudy trying to tempt her, and so they've already tripped her on LSD, like put it in her eyes, and then they sting her with this terrifying bug.
Yeah.
With this giant
With
effing
the fudge.
stinger, and so she's been
Cameron,
poisoned.
did you freak out when you saw that?
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me? Fucking
Oh,
psychopath.
it's horrifying. And then
Yeah,
you know
Jordan,
he
religion. Is this religion, Jordan?
Cherry on top, Cameron.
Religion.
It's the cherry on top. Yeah. Consider yourself lucky.
This is some fetching
It's crazy.
psycho shit.
So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Cameron. And yeah, it is gratuitous. I'm really disappointed that there's the TV screen. I want to get this movie edited, which is weird because again, there's a weird moment where in the car on the radio you hear Ronald Reagan's voice. Was there like major sexual repression going on in the 80s that I'm not aware of? Maybe there was before sexual liberation, but like the whole on the TV was so upsetting. It's so gratuitous and everything, and I'm like, okay, gotta watch this movie edited. You have to watch it edited.
Yeah, that was unnecessary. I mean, it does. You kind of do see their world, and it's like they're just depraved, disgusting human beings because all they do
Right.
is drugs and filth, and they fill their mind with all this garbage.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, like it feels very real, but also it's also like Cameron says, it leaves you with a kind of disgusted, gross feeling.
Right.
When you're.
I mean, one of these demon hellhounds has like very disturbing, like kills someone by it's terrifying. It's so gratuitous, and that's my least favorite thing about this movie. And I'm like, you don't need to see that much depravity, especially when it has so little bearing on. I guess it was the fate that was waiting Red if he didn't escape, but even then,
That's why I stopped watching season 8 of American Horror Story.
This makes Pulp Fiction look like a child's movie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it literally is the scene where Quentin Tarantino was like, I'm not even going to go there. Like, you'll hear sounds, but I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, you know.
And then this director's like, oh, I'm all in, baby.
Yeah, I want it all. I want it terrifying. And then, oh, yeah. So yeah, I totally agree. Like, that's my biggest knock is I hate that whole sequence, which is unfortunate because the fight that he has afterwards is immediately funny.
Amazing.
And then snorting cocaine and then tripping on the bad LSD and becoming a hellhound himself
And
or
he
whatever
didn't
he
snort
becomes.
some
Right? He
cocaine.
becomes a demon.
He snorted like a gallon of cocaine. It was so much. It was like baking. It was like baking powder, just like flour, and he just. I was like, I don't know if you could snort more cocaine in one sniff than what I just saw.
And then he takes the bad LSD,
He's putting Jordan Belfort to shame, man. Jordan Belfort would be impressed. He'd be like, okay, I see you, Nick Cage.
Dang, man. Yeah, exactly.
True. Yeah, and then that trip was one of the coolest visuals ever where his face just like melts as he's like just tried the LSD. That was so cool.
Very reminiscent of The Possessor,
definitely
Jordan.
something.
Like
Yes.
the practical effects Cronenberg film.
So
like I said,
cool.
even the practical effects where he squishes his head and the eyeball pops out, like it's very reminiscent.
It's so amazing. I showed my roommates after that. I'm like, you guys have to see this scene, and they're like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry, you won't understand. So I think that's really cool. Do you guys have any other nitpicks or things that you wanted to throw out about?
It's a perfect movie.
Why the fudge did that guy just randomly have like bone-piercing arrows? What the fudge?
Who is that guy?
Yeah,
right?
what is it? And he's like, oh, it's you.
Dude, he's cute, man. He's the every best friend in a movie has one. Where in some past life they used to hunt, they used to be Marines together. Who knows, right?
Which is
We don't
funny.
know.
Beings.
Because he was in a lot of his dad's movies, like Commando, and he was like in a bunch of action flicks. Was he in Predator?
Yep.
I can't remember, but
Yeah, he was in Predator. I'm pretty sure he was in Predator. If not,
He looks-
yeah,
yeah.
because he's not Carl Weathers, but he's the other guy.
Yeah.
What's his name? But I'm pretty sure he's in Predator. Yeah, it's funny because again, this movie, it's you're right, Cameron. Like, who is this guy he goes out and meets? He seems to have a relationship with Red, and they set her on fire. Like,
They lit her on fire!
Yeah, he goes from so casual to just losing his mind, like and then goes back to just casual, like in the matter of seconds. And I'm like, are you okay?
Right, but in the end, I think they do a really good job because again, the revenge film, and you're right, Cameron, about that icky feeling. Because in the end, like Count of Monte Cristo, it's more methodical and planned out. This one's just so quick. It's like,
Well, and
you're
messy.
right. Like
Like
completely, yeah, and messy. It's like complete straight to revenge.
Yeah, that scene where he sticks the thing in that guy's mouth. What the? I
He
was
jams
also
it down his
scared of
throat?
that. I was
Yeah,
like,
he makes him swallow the thing. Yeah, dude, that was messed up.
dude,
Like,
he has an amazing quote. The guy where it's creepy as crap. I mean, talk about an amazing evil henchman.
the brighter they burn,
Yeah.
the more dirty the horror.
No,
or
the
whatever.
darker the whore, the brighter the flame. He was so great.
dude, all of those guys when she was
Oh
burning,
my
they made me
gosh.
so uncomfortable. Their faces, they were like enjoying it. Like, yeah. He was licking his tongue, his teeth, and I was like, "What is this movie, dude?"
Worst henchman ever, yeah.
Yeah.
One of them went out like a bee, though, but it was really cool to see him throw the axe through the air, and it just lands in his head, and blood spurting everywhere in the shadow. Like, you see the front of the background, it's like... it hits him right in the head, it's like...
Oh, that scene where he like stabs a guy in the throat with a box cutter, and then like the blood in his mouth, and he's like spits it. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
he just gets it all in his face.
That was so great.
It's vicious. And then like fighting with chainsaws, he literally has the chainsaw running on the ground and grabs the guy and throws him down on top of his chainsaw, and his innards just get like, cut up. And
that was the most
Landing on a chainsaw.
docile death of them all because you didn't see anything. I was like, man, a break, and the guy in the break is the guy getting chopped up by his own chainsaw. I was like,
his stomach being cut
what am
because
I watching?
the idea of it's much worse than what they show. But yeah, he's like spraying blood all
Yeah,
over.
how
the
about the
box
guy
and
that gets an
everything.
arrow through his throat and he's like trying to pull it out?
Yeah, fetching these LSD bikers from hell, are they real people? Are they actually
Yeah,
supernatural?
well, at the end, when there was those two moons, is he on another planet or what's going on?
I think one of two things. So he takes the LSD at their house after he fights the two demons. He ripped my share. He takes some cocaine and then he tries the bad LSD. Now, when he later meets the drug lord, the guy that owns the tiger, he tells him the lore of because remember you heard this from his friend, right? Carruthers. He tells him, he goes, these people are demons, right? Bad spirits. They're bad people because there was a drug maker and he made a tainted batch of LSD and these bikers never been it ever since. He goes, in fact, they seem to enjoy it, right? They enjoy evil, like pure evil. So are they real people? We don't know. Like maybe the LSD kind of lowered their pain sensory deprivation or something like that because he gets an arrow through his head and he proceeds to pull it through
I think
his
his throat.
neck or whatever. Yeah, and he just pulls it through and then he is able later to fight Red with a chainsaw battle. It's just so ridiculous. It's over the top. So yeah, like
and then
human?
continue
I
to
don't
smoke
know.
a cigarette from his flaming head.
From his flaming head.
Yeah, literally lights his cigarette from his severed head of his enemy on fire. Yeah, his flaming deceased enemy's severed head. I mean, it's crazy.
I knew it. As soon as he pulled out the cigarette, I'm like, he's gonna use his flaming head. I know it.
Gotta use it.
Dude,
Use this
there's
flaming
so
severed
many
head to
cool
light a
visuals
cigarette.
when
Crazy.
that church is on fire and he's like walking out. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the
Very
culmination of
reminiscent
his
of
revenge.
Django.
Like,
Some-
his wife got burned alive, so he burned down that guy's church, you know.
Oh yeah,
No,
good point.
No, it's perfect that it ended in fire. So one of my favorite quotes though is so one of the coolest things is what he says. He goes when he goes to the drug maker, the LSD guy. He's like, whoa. He's like, you exude a cosmic darkness. And then the tiger like leaves. He frees him. He pushes the button. Nick Cage frees his tiger, and the tiger doesn't harm Nick Cage, but actually walks out of the room.
Well, it's funny because he has a one-sided conversation. He's like, oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so he lets the tiger go. And you're like, what?
He doesn't say anything, and he's just listening to Nick Cage. I guess Nick Cage is telepathically communicating. He understood him, though, you know? But I just thought that was really cool. But one really cool visual motif at the very end when he does find the church, there's literally behind the pew, there's like a cellar, and there's like a bright red glowing light and fog coming out of it. It's like literally hell. Like there's no other representation for it. And he goes down into this well, and there's like creepy, it looks like a silo. There's nothing on the walls. It's abandoned. It's really creepy down there. You know, they throw everything at him. They try to appease to him. They try to apologize. He tries to entice him. He tries to do so many things to try, because Jeremiah is messed up, and he's not swayed. He comes for the mission and he gets his revenge. And it's just so crazy. So, yeah, it does leave you with the icky feeling, Cameron, because you don't even get the scene where the Count of Monte Cristo gets to say, and it wasn't right that I sought revenge. Even though I got perfect revenge, it was wrong and all along.
Oh, that's
This
not the
one is
reason
just
I had
like
the icky feeling.
the smile at the end. It's like, did he enjoy it? Is he now a demon rider. He tried the bad LSD. Does he think he's on another planet now? Does he become the evil pinhead demon guy at the end of the movie? I don't know what's meant by it, but I just assume it's because of the LSD. His brain is fried, and now he's happy because he can at least be reunited with his wife Mandy. In some sick fantasy of his, he can be there with her.
Dude, and
Also,
I
they'll
love
never be
the
the same.
art
It's tragic.
sequences too. I think they're so dope
Dude.
looking.
What the
Pretty
fuck?
scary.
They're weird as shiz.
Maggot face, yeah, getting
No,
eaten.
I'm
I don't know. It's
talking
really
about
cruel
like,
because he
every
has to
single
watch
time
her
there's like
die.
randomly his animated wife just. I was like, what?
Yeah, right. No, but yeah, her face is eating my maggots. It's like he keeps losing her in each of the dreams. He keeps losing her because she's dying in each of the visions, which is really sad.
And I love how the title slowly keeps getting more and more veiny. It's so cool.
Yeah, there are like several chapters in it, right? Like there was Jeremiah, or I can't remember what the chapters were called, but Mandy was one of them, and Mandy was like stylistically really cool. And it was sad because it actually appears after she's killed, which I think is interesting, that they call it Mandy after the fact that Red's wife is dead. Mandy's dead. So,
Dude, and
very
there's a
interesting.
couple references too. Like he says we're living down by Crystal Lake, which is Friday the 13th. There's just
Right,
there's
yeah,
some fun
reminiscent of it.
things that I just
Yeah.
like love. Ugh.
For sure, that are very Easter egg kind of style things. So, do you guys have? Let's get into favorite quotes. Do you guys have any other favorite quotes?
Well, any of Jeremiah's lines where he's like, "Let's offer up the porker," and then the guy's like, "Yeah, that sublard couldn't see his own nose in a mirror."
They offer up one of their gang members to call in these, like, he grabs like what was that, conch shell or something, like a little flute. I can't remember what it was.
yeah,
like
what the
this
ram horn,
ancient,
goat horn, or whatever.
the ram horn, yeah. And they call these demons
Of Abraxan, yeah.
The Braxton, yeah, and then they all appear, and the strobe light effect comes on, and they kidnap Red and Mandy. It's so creepy, and they got more than they bargained for. You know, these demons would not be appeased. You know, they ended up killing all the people they offered to him. So Jeremiah is just an evil, conniving person. He uses all the people to his gratification and disposes of them at will, and he is just such a great villain. I mean, Jeremiah Sand, and I haven't seen him in anything that I recall, but I gotta say, Linus Roach, he did such an amazing job with this film.
Is that who Jeremiah is?
Yes.
Yes.
In fact, what's weird is, you won't believe this, Jordan. I always forget this every time I watch it because he disappears. He's Thomas Wayne. He's Bruce Wayne's dad in Batman Begins.
yes.
Don't be
Yeah.
afraid.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
Which is super disturbing because I don't think of it when I see it.
Dang.
You
Yeah,
just
don't
ruined
be
Batman
afraid.
Begins for me.
Why do we fall, Bruce? That's him, dude. Which is super weird when you see it.
The sweet dad.
That's his other thing.
to
he's known for. And I know he was in that movie nonstop, but I can't remember who his character was.
I thought he looks more like the guy from the "Don't leave, I'm in charge," and then "Do you feel in charge?" I thought it was that guy.
Oh, it looks like him. Yeah, he kind of does have a similar look to him, but no, Mads Mikkelsen, or I can't remember his name.
Well,
Mendelsohn.
That opening
Ben
quote
Mendelsohn,
I
yeah.
did when he says "please," like his whole dialogue with her at the beginning when she's like, "Is there anything I can do, Jeremiah?" And she's like, "There's nothing you can do." And he's just so evil.
Well, he's
and
like,
conniving,
he's like, do
Well,
you
he
hear
lays
me?
down. He won't even grace. Yeah.
yeah. Do you
He's like,
hear me?
Yes,
I
I
said,
hear you, Jeremiah.
do you hear me? Yes. She's like, "Yes, Jeremiah. Yes, Jeremiah. I hear you."
Really?
He's like,
Really?
She was.
I
so
don't think you
annoying.
hear anything.
He's like, now go get your brother Swan.
Fetch
He
me,
was so
brother Swan.
Fetch me, brother Swan. Swan. He's so evil. Yes, like he is unhinged, and it's like weird because he's like matched with Nick Cage because Nick Cage becomes unhinged. But like he's so evil, and like at the very when you first see him, he's just lying down. Everyone has to get him things. He brings people in for his pleasure. Like, he's just such a creep and the worst kind of person ever. Like, I love cult movies when you get to meet the cult leader and you're like, how did you ever get this position of power? Like, you were the most selfish person imaginable.
Well, you
he's a
can
great
tell he
villain.
goes after like people that are, weak-minded and
tortured.
messed up.
Yep.
And
Yep, exactly. And then he gives them drugs and supplies them.
Yeah.
But don't look at me! Don't laugh at me! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
oh yeah, how about when he's praying? He's like, "Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Tell me
Tell me
what to do."
Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do.
Yeah,
Don't
Jordan. Is it a
Doubt
religion?
yourself.
Dude, he's praying. He's praying to somebody, Cameron.
That's called
Dude, he's
Satan.
praying to his own reflection, dude. He's a psycho, man.
Yeah, and then
Dude,
you see him, like,
he has a
possessed
Joker
and
moment,
overtaken.
though. He has a Joker moment.
Dude,
where,
I love.
There was no
I
Joker
love
moment.
that
He
it's
was just
hinted at.
overcome by
no,
Satan.
no. The Joker moment when like his voice goes low and he tells the Mandy to look at him. He's like, "Look at me," and then she's like, not looking. He's like, "Look at me."
That's not
Just
Joker.
like-
That's Harvey Dent, dude. That's Harvey Dent.
No, Joker when
Oh
he's
no,
filming
no!
the guy.
Look at
he says,
me is
"Look
the
at me."
Joker when he's doing the
Yes.
homemade footage of the fat Batman. Yeah.
Oh well,
Harvey
Harvey
Dent
Dent also
that's
says
Look
it. He
at
says,
me.
"Look at me."
No, I think he says.
I think he says, "Say it, say it."
That's what he said. I thought he said, "Look at me." No, doesn't he say, "Look at me"?
That's Joker.
That's Joker when he's making the scary footage.
I'm aware of that part. I know
How
that
come I'm the
part.
only one that's lost everything?
Gosh.
He does say, "Lie, Gordon."
I'm just wondering if
Lied,
freaking he said it,
Gordon.
you
Lied
stupid-
like I lied. He says a lot of things that sound similar to that, Cameron. I'm with you, man. He might say something very close to that, but. No, I'm serious, because Harvey Dent, Aaron Eckhart goes 0 to 60. You can't give in. You can't give in! It's like, settle down there. We go. Okay. Aaron Eckhart.
Oh, I
Good
love
on
this
you, Mormon.
movie. So visually cool.
So, yeah. So any other quotes you guys wanted to throw out?
I like the little henchman
Let's get
guy.
this over with.
The henchman guy. He has like the white blade of the night, or the blade of the white knight, or whatever. And he's like, he says, "Take a good look, you worthless piece of human excrement." He's such a creep, dude. Holy crap.
I love it too when he goes when he finally goes into that silo. All of Jeremiah Sands things to try to get him. He's just like, you have no soul. You're just meat with no soul. I possess hallucinations you will never know. And then what's really interesting is Nick Cage's voice is finally distorted while he's talking to Jeremiah Sand after he's taken the LSD, and so he's
Harvey Dent does
descended
say
to
it.
his level.
He says, "Just look at me and have your laugh. Get it over with." When he's talking to Batman. So
Wow. He says,
But
"Look
that,
at
he
me."
doesn't yell,
Okay.
look at
Laugh?
me. He
Wait,
just
wait.
says it in a
I
phrase.
know, but he still
Wait.
says it.
Wait, what does he say? Look at me and have your laugh? When does he say
He
that?
doesn't yell it, though.
Yeah, he just
Look
says
at me
it.
and have your laugh? Was that when he's talking to Jeff Gordon?
He's talking to Batman.
Talking to Batman. Are you sure that wasn't a deleted scene? I don't remember that. That's so weird. I don't even remember that line of dialogue. That's cool, Cameron. Nice catch, dude. You've got better ears than I do. You have better
Clearly,
memory.
the other two brothers don't feel the same way.
I like when he's like, Jeremiah's like, pearl wasted before swine. When he's talking about Nick Cage. I love when he like freaking puts the bullet in the gun. He just, he's such a creeper, dude. Russian roulette with the girl.
You aren't even worth my spit. Don't hurt me. I love that turn, where he's just like, he XL comedy. He's like, you can't harm me in here. God's power is with me in here. And then he approaches him, throws a severed head at him. So good. Like, I just think that's so great, dude. He finally gets him and reveals him for the stupid, fake, phony that he is.
Oh, yeah.
Just so gratifying.
Yeah, I love when people distort like religion and stuff. It's just like it's fascinating to me. Oh my god!
And it's some of the most devastating like evil there is.
Yes.
Like using God as a scapegoat to be like, I can do whatever I want.
Yes,
God gave me this.
It's gross.
Everyone's here to serve me. It's just the craziest narcissistic thing, and you got all these people believing it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But one other quote, I wrote it down. So sort of quotes. I love his front. So after he goes and talks to Carruthers, he's like, so if you're gonna go hunting, there's some other you might need. He gestures to the fetching crossbow.
I was hoping you'd say that.
I was hoping you'd say that. He has the fetching.
Dude, talk about the
crossbow.
coolest
So cool.
montage ever where he's making that blade. That was dope.
Yes,
Guy
dude.
forges
It's like
this blade, and that is the coolest weapon I've ever seen. I want to get a replica of that. That is so dope. It's shiny, looks menacing. There's like all kinds of different spear things that you could kill people. Like the point is like a spear. It's a battle axe. It's got like knuckles on it. It's a saw blade. It's everything. It's amazing. Coolest weapon I've ever seen forged. Like that was actually what initially, kind of draws you into this movie. You're like, I got to see that weapon in action. And they use it, dude. Unbelievable. Awesome. Well, I got to say, this was This was a joy. Would you guys recommend this movie?
100% no. Please don't watch it. Spare your soul.
100%.
Your soul will be better off.
Just vid
Your
angel
soul
it.
will be better
Please
off
vid
if you don't
angel
watch
it.
this movie.
Yeah,
Please.
I say watch it.
Please
Edited.
vid angel.
It's
Even vid angel,
amazing.
unless you're vid angeling the entire movie, don't watch it.
And again, Johansson's music. My goodness,
Oh.
the score is so 80s. It's so retro. It's very nostalgic.
Listen to the soundtrack. Watch the best scenes. Don't watch this movie, please.
Yep, that's almost a fair diagnosis. But watch the whole movie
Please
because
don't.
you're going to watch Nick Cage yelling in his underwear, and it doesn't carry any emotional weight if you don't understand why.
You don't need to know the emotional weight. Please don't.
Yeah, if you
Love it.
if you like
Highly recommend
revenge
this movie.
movies, man, this is up there. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
if you weren't scarred by
dude, this
if you-
this makes Memories of Murder look like a PG movie.
that's totally fair by comparison.
If you
yeah,
like Brawl in Cell Block 99, if you like grindhouse looking movies, if you like really violent, gruesome,
Sadistic.
this movie's for you,
Religious.
you Satan worshiper.
yeah, it just reminds me of those 80s movies. Like I
In between
love it.
snorting cocaine and worshiping Satan, watch this movie.
Yeah. If you want a sober LSD trip, watch this movie. Yep. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Futro Hidden Movie Gems. We sure love you guys. Leave us a review. Leave us an email, futuromovies@gmail.com. Tell us a movie that you'd like us to review, movies that you want us to mistake. If we have any things, follow, like, share, subscribe, all the things.
And Grant, do you want to say what you've watched lately and what you're looking forward to before we go?
Yeah, Grant, what are you watching and what are you looking forward to?
Sure. Oh, I found one last quote from Mandy. He says, "That was my favorite shirt." And then later he says, "You're a vicious snowflake." He throws him down the hall.
You're a vicious snowflake. That's right. He's got his hand nailed to the floor. Yeah, and he ends up bettering that guy, pulling the pipe out, hits him in the head, and throws him down the pit.
Can you call
It's just
that person a guy? That was a creature, man. That was no longer a human.
Yeah, wet, mossy face. Yeah,
Looked like
every single
one
in
of
that
fetching Steppenwolf's little minions, dude. Fetching Justice League.
Steppenwolf. Oh, Steppenwolf. That's hilarious. I got vibes of something out of Lord of the Rings, like an orc or a goblin kind of thing,
Reminds me of the creature from American Horror Story.
Oh my goodness. It's all terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So, Grant, movies that you're looking forward to seeing, or movies that you've seen lately, movies you're looking forward to seeing?
I haven't really watched much. We've actually been rewatching some Disney movies, and that's been kind of fun. Like, I rewatched Up. That's such a classic one. It's really good.
How are you watching Up and Disney movies in between watching Mandy? What is wrong with you? Dude, you actually get psychological.
I need to balance my life out, dude.
Dude.
Yes.
Oh my, what the fudge is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Grant's just like putting on this facade. He's like, "Oh, I've loved Disney movies, Elise. This is the best." And that night, he's like, "Oh yeah." It's like Nick Cage.
At night, he's like, "I am your god now."
Gosh, dude, you're sick.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
You're sick, Grant.
And I also watched
How do you sleep at
the
night?
live action Aladdin. Nope.
Disturbed.
And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Will Smith as the genie. I think he did a good job of not trying to be Robin Williams. He was kind of just himself, and they kind of did more of a modern twist to it, I think, a little bit, which was really good. So I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing Love and Monsters.
Aladdin was much more charming than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I watched it too.
I
like how they
came in
leaned
with
into the
zero
Bollywood
expectations.
element of it.
I enjoyed it.
They leaned into the Bollywood element of it, and who doesn't like Bollywood films, man? I mean, like Slumdog Millionaire, they end that movie with an actual dance. Like, what is more sweet than that? Like, everyone's just dancing. The whole cast, everyone, cast and crew, just dancing on screen. A musical number. It's like the end of Shrek, Here's the karaoke dance party. It's like, what? Yes, please. More of this. I love it. They should have had a karaoke dance party at the end of Mandy,
I don't know if that's allowed.
He's just dancing with severed heads.
Yeah, just him biking around, driving around town with Mandy, his hallucinated wife, dead, deceased wife. So, awesome. And Grant, do you have any movies that you're looking forward to seeing?
Love and Monsters, and then I want to rewatch Mitchell versus the Machines.
that is a
Watch
good
it.
movie. And
That's
you
a
will
good
not
movie.
feel like you just killed a small child and waterboarded him and drowned him in the water right after. Leave you with a much different feeling.
Oh my
Much
god.
different.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh, dang, man.
absolutely love it. Love it.
I still love Nick Cage though.
So funny.
I just want to put that up.
Yes.
Nick
Yes.
Cage.
Yep. I love Nick Cage.
Awesome. Well,
Check us out on Spotify and Patreon.
and Facebook, or no, not Facebook. I always say that. YouTube, like and follow us.
I mean, we're on
And-
Facebook, so yeah, you can do it. Facebook.
Oh yeah, we have
Ty
Facebook.
always
yeah.
says that, and then you always say,
Oh,
I don't know why I always say
and
it.
Instagram.
Jordan
Yeah, we
always
have
says
an
it.
Instagram.
We have a Facebook.
We have all
so
social
funny.
media platforms.
I just don't go on social media, so I assume we didn't have one. But yeah, only one of us is conspiratorial and wearing a tinfoil hat, and that's me. So yeah, we do have one of those. Check us out on all the platforms. And this is Futro Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Please.
You hit my shirt.
My shirt.